What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here with the review for The Chi. This is season 3, episode number 5, and the episode is titled Terror Town. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into this episode review. All right, you guys. So, I want to start this episode up, and this is with the kind of small stuff that I feel. So, the first thing that I feel is like really small is going to be this Jada situation. So, we see Jada, and you guys remember, like, what was it, episode 2 or 3, that we saw Jada, and she was at the clinic, and that guy Tomas came into the room when she had her patient, and he asked her out. And now we've jumped this far to episode 5, where Jada is meeting Tomas's family, and I'm just like, how did that happen? Like, we missed so much stuff in between. Like, when did they have their first date? Like, how did we get to this point? It's just a question that I had. So, Jada is meeting Tomas's mom. So, she pulls Jada to the side to have a conversation with Jada. And, she's asking Jada, does Jada know Spanish? And Jada says no. She says, she took Spanish at in school, but the only thing that Jada knew is adios and hola. I mean, that was weird to me how we got that part. Now, I don't understand why the mom, made it such a big issue that Jada doesn't speak Spanish. I mean, I took Spanish in high school as well. The most that I can say in Spanish is ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Sí, ¿qué? ¿Por qué? Muy bien, de nada. ¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy? What else do I know? ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo estás? I actually know quite a bit. I know quite a bit, but I didn't understand that whole situation about does she speak Spanish? Okay, so she doesn't speak Spanish. I'm pretty sure you guys could teach her Spanish. It's not going to be the end of the world, but okay. And then they're talking about Tomas's his wife, and Jay's like, well, Tomas never mentioned to me that he was married. And his brother, I believe that was his brother, he said he's not. His mom says he is, and then it comes out that he's the wife passed away, and Jay's like, oh, thank God. I'm like, Jada, that might not have been the right thing to say. Thank God. You could have said there are many things that you could have said, and then when you said thank God, I mean, it's good that he's not leading a double life. You could have said something different with that situation too. You could have said, oh, I'm so sorry about that. I didn't know that he had been married. He never, we never discussed that. But it's good to know that, he's an upstanding guy. So then we see Jada. She's in the bathroom and she's listening to Iyanla, getting her life together. So then we see Jada and Tomas, and they left, and Jada asked Tomas, like, so why come you never told me that you had a wife? He said, he wasn't ready to talk about it. And she says, well, your family obviously was. And he says, yeah, he says, anytime I bring a woman around, they always compare, them to her, which is no comparison. He says, but I'm lucky enough that I was able to say goodbye to my wife, and she wanted me to find love again. She said, well, have you found it? He says, we'll see by the end of this date. That was weird to me, you guys. I just got to keep it real. That was kind of weird to me. But let's move on. All right, you guys. Next, let's talk about Emmett. So we see Emmett. So Emmett is at Sonny's, and they're getting ready to open for the day. And, Sonny is asking Emmett, like, yo, man, what's going on with you? Like, baby mama keeping you up? The kids keeping you up? He says, nah, it's not that. He says, just working really hard. So then, Sonny was talking to him. He says, well, somebody said that they saw you here, creeping out here about 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. He says, oh, yeah, I forgot my keys. And then Sonny was like, well, you also left the lights on as well, so you got to check that. And then Emmett got a little attitude with Sonny. And I was thinking to myself, like, Emmett, you do realize he is throwing you a life jacket. He's telling you in not so many words that he knows what you're doing, but Sonny wants you to tell him what you're doing. I don't know how Emmett didn't catch that. But Sonny tells him, like, what, Just be safe, and next time, make sure you turn off the damn lights. So then we do see Dom and Emmett. So they're working their late night crew, and she tells Emmett that he needs to tell Sonny what's going on. Emmett says that I almost told Sonny what was going on earlier, but I didn't. And Dom was like, this shit's gonna kind of bust, blow up in your face. And Emmett was like, what? Let me handle it. I'm like, Emmett, as much as Lala's terrible acting annoys me, she's telling you something that you might need to listen to. And he tells her like what we need to do is we need to continue to try to make money from this, build up, and then we can give Sonny an offer that he cannot refuse. She's like, so what is that? He says, pay the rent that is Sonny is behind on. She's like, I don't know if that really sounds like a good idea, but what, if that's what you want to go with, I'm gonna let you have that for now. So then we also see that Dominique got hurt. So throughout this episode is going to consist around a blackout, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But she hurt herself, and now with this blackout, Emmett and Dominique got to figure out a way to make money. And he looks and he sees the smoker. He's like, well, the smoker doesn't need electricity, so let's use that. So then we see Emmett having a big ass block party at Sonny's. I'm like, this shit is gonna blow up in your face, like. And I'm surprised that it hasn't at this point because, like I said, obviously Sonny knows, and it's the fact that Emmett is doing this. Like, so somebody you don't think that somebody's gonna come and say, "Damn, Sonny, whoever was cooking the chicken late last night did a damn good job with the chicken. Like, what's up with your chicken?" But I mean, maybe Emmett, I don't know what Emmett's thinking is. But like I said, he was going to get caught. And lo and behold, he did get caught. And, really and truly what you could see with Sonny was the fact that Sonny was just disappointed in what Emmett has done. And, the fact that he's given Emmett opportunity after opportunity to tell him what was going on. He thought that Emmett would be an upstanding guy and tell him, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know why you thought that, but whatever. Let's move on. All right, so now let's move over to Papa, Jake, and Kevin. So it looks like they were at the pizza place, and they talking about this haunted house that they think is haunted that they want to go to, and then Kevin gets a text from Gemma saying that she's coming, and then Jake want to know like why is she coming, and like if I knew that she was coming, like I would have stayed at home, and Kevin's like, well, that's why I didn't tell you, and it's kind of crazy. I'm like, damn. The fact that Jake is so damn disrespectful of women, calling her a bitch, like you don't know this little girl like that, and you just disrespect her. So then Maisha also showed up as well for Papa, and Papa's just telling Jake like you got if Jake, I mean not Jake, but if Kevin likes her, that's our homie. We gotta embrace it. So then we do see the kids. They went to the place that they think is haunted. And they tell us, they're talking about what they've heard, from around the way about the place. So, like I said, because of this blackout, the lights go out and they little asses start taking off running. Because a skeleton fell down and scared the shit out of their asses. So then we see them as they get out there arguing about what to do. Like, do they walk through the neighborhoods, but it's bad, that's bad area and they can't walk through the neighborhood, or do they take an Uber? And the fact that the Uber is upcharging in that area. So they get their asses in, they get into it. Maisha called Gemma a bitch, and they was like, Papa's like, my queen, you can't do that to her. So then we do see Emma and Kevin walking through the neighborhood. You could hear the gunshots. He's like, was that fireworks? He says, yeah, nah, that ain't what that was. And you see the niggas standing around on the corner asking them what the fuck they staring at. I hate when people do that. Like, you looking at me, bitch. Why you asking me what, like somebody, like I was driving today. That shit happened to me today. This dude was on the phone and he was looking at me and he just gonna keep staring. And then I'm like, nigga, what the hell you staring at me for like that? Like, the fuck you looking at? So then we do see Maisha and Papa at Sonny's, and they decide that they want to make their relationship official. You guys, the kids make this show for me. Honestly, I love Jake, although he can get on my nerves at times. I love Kevin, and I love Papa. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So next, I'm gonna talk about Rosalind, Duda, Trig, and Imani. I'm gonna condense them together. So we see earlier in the episode Rosalind. So she is getting her box ate out by by Duda. And she tells Duda like you gotta work a lot harder because Camille is leading in the polls and especially on the north side. She was like, damn. She's like, who would have thought at this point in time that black people wouldn't be so homophobic because Camille is a lesbian. And she was just telling him like, there's no way you're gonna win that side of town. And then he bends her over to hit it from the back, and she tells him that he needs to use Jake more. He tells her Jake is not an accessory. So then we do due to the blackout, we see Duda. He's telling his crew, his employees that to let the city know that everyone is welcome at the pizza place. So then we see Jake. Jake is in Duda's office, and he's telling Duda about what happened with him and the other kids. At the haunted house. So then Duda, they're starting to bond because Duda put on a record, and they're bonding over that record. So then Duda gets a text message from Big Mike to come out back. So when he goes out back, some dude has spray painted one of his signs, and Duda was like, you know what, let it go, because then he gave the dude his jacket. But then the dude told Duda that you are no Harold Washington, and Duda asked him, what did you say? He said, you are no Harold Washington. So Duda put his hand and then started beating the shit out of him. I'm like, are you beating him to a bloody pulp? And then Jake watching that, because Jake asked Duda, could he follow him behind him? He said, yeah. So Jake saw that, and Jake took off running. He ran home to Trig. He ran to Trig and Imani's place. So then let's segue into Trig and Imani. So in this episode, we saw Trig and Imani. So they had some friends over. I didn't realize that. I figured that the one friend, that the female friend, I figured she was trans. So she asked, why is he dressed like Malcolm X? And then she said he's just watching out for the 63rd Street mob because we went over there and we had to wreck shop on their ass. And she was like, oh, that's right, I did hear about that in the streets. He said, who did you hear from? She said, I cannot reveal my sources. So then Imani, her friend gets on her phone, and she tells her like, "Hey, you need to get your ass off on Grindr. Like, stop looking for Trade." She says, "Girl, Trade loves me," and she says, they love you while they fucking you, and then they will fuck you over if they ever get caught." And she's like, look at all the little black girls missing. And then social services shows up, and Trig and him tell them that they gotta go. So once they go, social services come in. She looks at the place, and Imani says, I just had some people over. I just finished a job. She's like, what do you do? She's like, I do hair. She says, do you have a license? She says, I'm working on that. Then she says, but first of all, who are you? He says, she's my wife. She says, but on your application it says that you're single. He says, well, we're not married, but we are in the process to get married, so I call her my wife. She says, so we'll put on there that she's your partner. And then she looked at one of the electrical outlets. She says, and you have to fix that as well. So she says, the next time I'll be back in 2 weeks. But what you need to do is update your application to say partner. And then you also need to fix that and get that license. So then we do see Imani, and she's packing her stuff to leave. And, Trig is asking, like, why you leaving? And she says that, she doesn't want to mess up his chances of getting Jake. And he tells her, we can talk to the judge about the petty theft and all that kind of stuff. She's like, it's more to me than just that. So he says, what are you talking about? She says, when I was 16 years old, I dressed in drag, and, my dad didn't like that. He always wanted a son, but instead he got a daughter. And she says she tried to take off running, but her dad chased her and caught up with her and choked the shit out of her. And she said, I knew at that point it was either going to be him or me. And I chose for it to be him, so she killed her dad. And he says, well, do you have a record? She said, well, did you go to jail? She says, no, because when the cops came, they could see the bruises on my neck, so they knew that it was self-defense. So Trig was like, well, you know what? Honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like, it is what it is. You had to defend yourself to be here for me, and I need you here. So Trig don't really give a shit. Let's move on. All right, you guys, so this part that I'm about to start talking about bothered the entire shit out of me. So the episode opened with some man And my closed caption said that his name was Amari. So he was giving Keisha a bath, saying that she was filthy when he found her and that she was dressed like a slut. First of all, what the fuck they got to do with you? But okay. Then, we see Papa's dad as he is baptizing Ronnie and some other people. I'm like, oh, okay, so I was correct. This is going to be Ronnie's redemption. So then we do see Amari, he's feeding Keisha before he goes out. He just like, Daddy got to make sure that you eat. And I'm just like, oh God, this is disgusting as hell to me. So then we see Ronnie's frail looking ass, and he's at the church with Papa's dad. Now, one of the church members' brothers passed away, so I guess she donated his clothes to the church, and Papa's dad gave them to Ronnie to wear. And then he also gives him some information about a shelter that he can go to. Now, back over at Keisha. Now, this scene alone disturbed my spirit. So it appeared that Keisha was alone in the house, but then I did notice when Keisha was walking, I noticed like there was like it was like a webcam or a baby monitor, but I think that was an actual webcam, because every time she would move, that camera would move. I'm like, so, because I was like, so did he, when he said he was leaving, is this like, did he come back? And then, like I said, you could see the camera moving. And then it got worse when I saw her pick up that bedpan. I'm like, oh God, she is not peeing in a bedpan. So she went in the bathroom to pee. And, she, put the bedpan down. She closed the door. And then as she started peeing, there's another camera in the bathroom. And he says, smile for daddy. And I was like, oh God. Why? Like that threw me off for real. Like it disgusted me to no avail. Like, how degrading and disgusting can you? Oh God. Oh God. So then also, when the lights went out, the power went out. It went out in that house as well. So Keisha, she tries to get out, but she had no luck. And she tried multiple times to try to get out of the place. She tried to open the door. She tried to, bust it down, but she just was not successful in this. So then at the church, we see that they're having service in a blackout. And, Papa's, I guess that's his mom and his dad, they come up and they're talking about how, this is the devil. And, when times like this happen, they usually thank God for, President Lincoln, writing the, what did he write? The proclamation. And, Ronnie schools them on the proclamation. He's like, the proclamation didn't actually free the slaves. It wasn't until 2 years later when the Confederates surrendered that freed the slaves. And they were like, look at you schooling us. Feel like you got a testimony that you want to give. And then he says, you know what? I need to go leave. And I need to go check on my grandmother. So then we go see Ronnie goes to the nursing home or whatever that Miss Ethel's at. And when he gets there, Miss Ethel's not there. And he asks the young lady, like, where's my grandmother? And, she's like, I don't know. Like, I'm short-staffed. I'm sorry, I can't tell you nothing. So then, moving back over to Keisha, actually, let's finish out with this because I didn't realize that. Miss Ethel. So Miss Ethel actually, I guess, went to their house, knocking on the door, looking for Ronnie, and then another homeless person finds her and stays with her until Ronnie shows up. So then moving over to Keisha. So Keisha, she was upset about not, she was pissed because I would be pissed too, she's stuck in that house. But then she notices some of the stuff that's fallen and she busts the door down. Now she finally, she gets through one door and then she gets to another door, it's locked. And then she finally gets through that door, and when she got out the door, and she, she could hear Omari's footsteps. And I'm just like, Keisha, you heard his footsteps, right? Now that you're outside the door, run, bitch, run like Forrest Gump, my nigga, run, jet out of there. Ain't you a track star? get the fuck out of Dodge. But unfortunately, she doesn't, and she gets kidnapped again. I'm like, God damn it, Keisha. You had one job. One job. One. But you guys, that was The Shy. Be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of anytime I drop content. Also, share this video. And if you guys would like to follow me on social media, my social media is always down in the comments, it's in the description bar. But I will tell you guys what my social media is. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I am, oh shit, I really don't know what that is. It's future_CEO_GB. My Snapchat, Mr. GB_, it is to you. And then my IG is Jbsayzwhat, as it is on this channel. And also, you guys, do me a solid favor. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. And I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, later, guys.